Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss the pharmacology of emesis, and in the current session we will be discussing the definition of nausea and vomiting, the physiology of emesis and also emetics. Now coming to the definition of nausea and vomiting. What is vomiting? The forcible expelling of stomach contents out of the mouth is called as vomiting. And when it comes to nausea, nausea is an uneasiness of the stomach that is often accompanied by the urge to vomit. This is an important point. Nausea is an uneasy feeling or uneasiness of the stomach that often accompanies the urge to vomit, but it does not always lead to vomiting. Nausea does not always lead to vomiting. And as such, they are not considered as a disease, but whether it is vomiting or nausea, they may indicate an alteration in the physiological or pathological condition. Now coming to the causes of vomiting or emesis. There are various causes. The first one is drug-induced vomiting, especially in case of chemotherapy, radiation, opioids and certain drugs such as nicotine, cardiac glycosides, quinine and some of the toxic agents, they often induced vomiting. And next one is the natural physiological changes such as pregnancy. As we all know, even in case of pregnancy, nausea and vomiting are a common side effects or physiological changes that are accompanied by the pregnancy. And some of the other causes are infectious causes such as the inflammation of gastrointestinal tract and the viral fever. Inflammation of GIT and even viral fever may induce vomiting. And pathological conditions such as malignancy also induces vomiting, and post-operative conditions. Especially in case of post-operative cases, the analgesia or the anesthesia, they may induce vomiting. And the CNS related cause for vomiting is migraine. So these are some of the various causes that induce the emesis. Now coming to the physiology of emesis. So there are different pathways that trigger the emesis or vomiting. In simple words, the pathways which trigger vomiting are broadly classified into three types. First one is the stimulation of vomiting center, and the second is the stimulation of chemoreceptor trigger zone, and third is any alteration in the equilibrium of vestibular apparatus. These are the major reasons or major pathways that trigger the emesis. First one is stimulation of vomiting center, and the next is stimulation of chemoreceptor trigger zone, and the next one is alteration in the equilibrium of vestibular apparatus. Now vomiting occurs due to the stimulation of vomiting center. And this vomiting center is present in the medulla oblongata. It is mainly composed of muscarinic receptors, M1 receptors. And the second is chemoreceptor trigger zone. This chemoreceptor trigger zone is unprotected by the highly impermeable blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier, it protects the brain from the various drugs, toxins, hormones and other mediators. So this CTZ or chemoreceptor trigger zone, it is unprotected by the blood-brain barrier. Hence it is more accessible to various drugs, mediators and hormones that induce the emesis. And this chemoreceptor trigger zone, it mainly contains the neurokinin receptors NK1, dopamine receptors D2, serotonin receptors such as 5-HT3, opioid receptors and the cannabinoid receptors CB1 receptors. These are the main receptors that are present in the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Now coming to the vestibular apparatus. As we have discussed, one of the pathways which trigger the vomiting is any alteration in the vestibular apparatus. So when the body's equilibrium is disturbed, or when any ototoxic drugs they act on the impulses, and these impulses reach the vestibular nuclei which is present in the cerebellum through the vestibulocochlear nerve, and these impulses they activate the muscarinic and histamine receptors M1 and H1 receptors, and this in turn stimulates both chemoreceptor trigger zone and the vomiting center, and hence they induce the vomiting. So because of the disturbance of equilibrium, or even when any ototoxic drug is consumed, they produce impulses which reach the vestibular nuclei which is present in the cerebellum through the vestibulocochlear nerve, and this activates the M1 and H1 receptors which stimulates the both chemoreceptor trigger zone and the vomiting center, and finally they induce the vomiting. Now there are several causes or several conditions which stimulate the vomiting center. One of such cases is higher centers of brain. Higher centers of brain which control the emotional and pain related stimuli of the human body, they often stimulate the vomiting center. And the next one is pharyngeal irritation. This induces emesis by stimulating the vomiting center through glossopharyngeal nerve. The pharyngeal irritation, it induces emesis by stimulating the vomiting center through glossopharyngeal nerve. And the next one is gastric irritation. This gastric irritation, it releases the 5-HT from the enterochromaffin cells, and this 5-HT, it acts on the 5-HT3 receptors which are present on the primary efferent neuron, and this impulses they pass through vagal nerve and stimulate the vomiting center VC and the chemoreceptor trigger zone. And the next one is visceral pain. The visceral pain that is associated with vomiting, it releases the bradykinin and substance P. The visceral pain, it releases the bradykinin and substance P, and this in turn activates the neurokinin receptors, and finally they stimulate the vomiting center. These are the various conditions or situations where stimulation of vomiting center occurs, and this stimulation often leads to emesis or vomiting. If we go briefly, higher centers of brain, they stimulate the vomiting center, and similarly the pharyngeal irritation, gastric irritation and the visceral pain. These are the conditions or the factors which stimulate the vomiting center. So this is the overall schematic representation of how vomiting center is stimulated. As we have discussed in the previous slide, the pharyngeal irritation, it stimulates the vomiting center through glossopharyngeal nerve. Pharyngeal irritation, it stimulates the vomiting center through glossopharyngeal nerve. And similarly, the gastric irritation through vagal nerve, it stimulates the chemoreceptor trigger zone, which in turn stimulates the vomiting center. And as we all know, the cytotoxic drugs, they stimulate or act on the chemoreceptor trigger zone, and this stimulates the vomiting center, and finally results in the induction of vomiting. And similarly, motion sickness. The motion sickness, it disturbs the vestibular apparatus. It acts on labyrinthine through vestibulocochlear nerve. And through this, the vestibular nuclei gets stimulated, and this in turn stimulates the chemoreceptor trigger zone, or it may directly stimulate the vomiting center. And the next and the final one is, as we have discussed, the higher brain centers, especially pain, sight, smell and emotional factors. The higher brain centers which govern the pain, sight, smell and emotional factors, they often stimulate the vomiting center and induce the emesis. So these are the various factors or the condition which stimulate the chemoreceptor trigger zone and the vomiting center and finally result in the vomiting. Now, how whenever a vomiting center is induced, how vomiting occurs, let us discuss now. So when the vomiting center induce vomiting by relaxing the lower esophageal sphincter. The vomiting center, it relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, and this in turn results in the contraction of diaphragm and the abdominal muscles. The contraction of diaphragm and the abdominal muscles increases the intra-abdominal pressure and finally induces the emesis. They act mainly, the vomiting center induces the emesis by mainly relaxing the lower esophageal sphincter, and this results in the contraction of diaphragm and abdominal muscle, and this in turn leads to increased intra-abdominal pressure and induces the emesis. So this is the mechanism how vomiting center will induce the emesis. Now coming to the emetics. So vomiting needs to be induced only when an undesirable substance, especially a substance like poison, has been ingested by the oral route. So usually emetics are not popularly or frequently used. Emetics are only used whenever an undesirable substance such as poison has been ingested by the oral route. Now coming to the classification of emetics, they are broadly classified into three types: centrally acting, peripherally acting and both centrally and peripherally acting. Now coming to the examples of centrally acting emetics, they are apomorphine and morphine. Now coming to the examples of peripherally acting emetics, they are mustard, tartar, tartar emetic and hypertonic solutions. And coming to centrally, both centrally and peripherally acting emetic is ipecacuanha syrup. Ipecacuanha syrup. Now coming to apomorphine, it is a semi-synthetic derivative of morphine and it acts mainly as a dopaminergic agonist on the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Apomorphine acts as a dopaminergic agonist. So it is injected either intramuscularly or subcutaneously and the dose is 6 mg. And usually apomorphine induces the vomiting within 5 to 15 minutes after administration. And the contraindications are apomorphine is not used in respiratory depression because it has inherent respiratory and CNS depressing actions. This is an important point. Apomorphine is not used in respiratory depression because it has inherent respiratory and CNS depressing actions. Now coming to mustard. The mustard, it causes emesis by irritating the gastric mucosa, and it starts the reflex induced emesis. and it acts by formation of volatile oil by the reaction between the glycoside and the enzyme present in the water. And usually 1 tablespoon of mustard is taken in 300 ml of water as a dose. The main mechanism of action of mustard is it causes emesis by irritating the gastric mucosa, and it causes a reflex induced emesis or vomiting. Now coming to ipecacuanha, it mainly contains emetine alkaloid. So this is an important point. Ipecacuanha, it contains an emetine alkaloid, and the mechanism of action is it acts by irritating the gastric mucosa and by triggering the chemoreceptor trigger zone. Coming to the dose is 15 to 30 ml in adults and 10 to 15 ml in children. Now coming to the overall contraindications of emetics. Emetics are contraindicated in case of corrosive poisoning such as acid or alkali poisoning. Especially in case of acid and alkali poisoning, emetics are contraindicated because there is a risk of perforation and further injury to the esophageal mucosa. And even in case of CNS stimulant drug poisoning, emetics are prevented because they may precipitate convulsions. And in case of kerosene poisoning, aspiration of liquid is seen and this may result in chemical pneumonia. Hence, emetics are contraindicated in case of kerosene poisoning. And they are even contraindicated in unconscious patient because they may aspirate the vomitous laryngeal reflex. And finally, emetics are contraindicated in morphine or phenothiazine poisoning because they may fail to act. So these are the overall contraindications of emetics. By this we complete the topic emetics. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for further videos on pharmacology.